It's hard to write, but I'm becoming like my father. I hated him all my life because he drank and abused us. I promised myself I'd never be like that. And now I find myself doing the same things. And I hate myself for it. I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to admit this without sounding like the worst person alive. But I'm slowly turning into the man I swore I'd never become. My father. When I was a kid, my father was the monster in my life. He wasn't some cartoon villain, but he might as well have been. He drank, he yelled, he belittled everyone around him, and when that wasn't enough, he found ways to hurt us that had nothing to do with fists but cut way deeper. I used to hide under my blanket at night, making silent promises to myself that when I grew up, I would never, ever be like him. I would treat people with respect. I would never raise my voice. I would be the complete opposite of everything he stood for. That promise felt like my shield, the one thing that kept me sane. But now, years later, I'm standing in front of a mirror and I don't always recognize the man looking back. And the terrifying part is, I can see pieces of him staring at me. It started so small I barely noticed. A sarcastic remark here, a raised voice there. I'd tell myself, it's fine, everyone snaps sometimes. I'd even joke about it, like losing my temper once in a while was just part of adult life. But then came the drinking. At first, it was just one beer after work to unwind. Nothing wrong with that, right? But then it became 2. Then 3. Then it was bottles of whiskey hiding in the back of my closet so my girlfriend wouldn't notice how fast the kitchen supply was disappearing. The other night, she said something so small. I don't even remember what it was now, maybe about me forgetting to take the trash out, and I exploded. I mean full-on screaming, throwing things, punching the wall like some enraged teenager. The sound of my own voice actually scared me. For a second, I swear I heard his voice instead of mine. And when I looked at her, the way she shrank back, the fear in her eyes. It was the same look I used to give my father. That realization crushed me. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the kitchen staring at my shaking hands, trying to figure out how the hell I got here. How did I go from promising to be nothing like him, to becoming a damn copy-paste version of the man I despised? The climax of this nightmare hit me last week. I came home drunk. Not tipsy, not buzzed. Drunk. My girlfriend had cooked dinner, waiting for me. I stumbled in late, half my shirt untucked, reeking of alcohol, and the first thing out of my mouth was some nasty comment about the food being cold. She froze. I could see her lips tremble, like she wanted to yell back, but instead she just whispered, "You're just like him." It felt like a knife straight to the chest. She didn't mean her father. She meant mine. And I swear, in that moment, I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. Because she was right. And if I didn't do something fast, I knew I'd lose her, I'd lose myself, and maybe one day I'd have kids who'd grow up making the same promises I once did, that they'd never be like me. The worst part. Nobody knows this. Not my friends, not my family, not even her. She thinks I'm oblivious to what I'm becoming, but the truth is, I see it. I feel it. I hate it. And I don't know how to stop. So here I am, typing this out like an anonymous confession, hoping that spilling it into the void might be the first step to clawing my way back from the edge. Have you ever caught yourself becoming the very person you swore you'd never be? And if you did, how the hell did you stop? When I hit post on that first confession, I honestly didn't know what I was expecting. Maybe a couple of strangers telling me to just stop drinking, or get therapy. Maybe silence. But instead, I got flooded with responses. Some kind, some brutal, some terrifyingly familiar. People said, "You're not alone. My dad was like that. I became like that too." Others warned me, "If you don't fix this now, you'll lose everyone you love." And then there were a few who flat out told me I was already too far gone, that I'd always be like him. That last part. It stuck with me. Because deep down, I worry they're right. See, part of the reason I promised myself I'd never be like my father wasn't just because of how he treated us, it was because of how hopeless he always seemed. He'd say, "This is just who I am," like it was carved in stone. He wore his failures like some twisted badge of honor. And I used to scream at him inside my head. No! You can change. You just don't want to. But now that the shoe's on the other foot, I'm starting to wonder. Maybe he couldn't change. Maybe I can't either. The cycle feels like quicksand. Every time I try to climb out, something pulls me deeper. I'll wake up in the morning determined. No alcohol today, no yelling, no slipping into his shadow. And then life happens. Work stress piles up. My boss dumps 3 impossible deadlines on me. My coworkers slack off. I sit in traffic for an hour, and by the time I walk through my front door, I'm a boiling pot with the lid about to blow. That's when I reach for the bottle. And that's when I see my father's reflection smirking at me from the glass. Last Friday was supposed to be a turning point. I promised my girlfriend I'd take her out to dinner. She'd been dropping hints all week about this little Italian place she loved. I left work early, swearing to myself I'd stay sober, stay calm, be present. But when my boss stopped me on the way out with one more thing, my patience cracked. By the time I got home, I was already angry. Then, like clockwork, I thought, one drink won't hurt. You can already guess how that went. I didn't just have one drink. I had 5. Then I showed up late to dinner, stumbling, pretending like everything was fine. She saw right through me. She always does. And instead of enjoying her favorite pasta, she sat there with tears in her eyes, asking me, "Why do you keep doing this to yourself? To us?" I had no answer. I wish I could say I broke down right there, confessed everything, promised to get help. But no. I deflected. I made jokes. I even got defensive. She went quiet, and that silence at the table was louder than any screaming match we'd ever had. That night, when we got home, she slept on the couch. I lay awake in bed staring at the ceiling, hearing her soft crying in the other room. And that sound, it wasn't just her crying. In my head, it was me as a kid again, curled up in my room, trying not to let my father hear me sob. That parallel hit me so hard I had to cover my ears with the pillow. And here's the worst part. The really sick part. The next morning, I tried to act like nothing happened. I made breakfast, cracked a few jokes, kissed her on the forehead like some sitcom husband. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile people give when they're pretending they believe in you even though they don't anymore. I'm terrified I've already lost her. The climax of part 2 came just 2 nights ago. We had friends over. Couples we hang out with occasionally. Everything was fine at first. Wine, dinner, laughter. Then someone brought up daddy issues as a joke, and I snapped. Full rage mode. My voice got sharp, I slammed my glass on the table, and suddenly the whole room went silent. You could hear the tension buzzing in the air. My girlfriend's face went pale. Our friends made awkward excuses and left early. After they were gone, she looked at me with this expression I'll never forget. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was disappointment. Disappointment so deep it made me feel small. She said softly, "I don't even know who you are anymore." And that broke me. I spent that whole night sitting in the dark, whispering to myself, "You're not him, you're not him, you're not him," over and over like some twisted mantra. But the truth is, the more I said it, the less I believed it. Nobody knows this side of me. To the outside world, I'm the funny guy at work, the reliable friend, the boyfriend who posts pictures of happy dates. But behind closed doors, I'm a ticking time bomb, just like he was. And I don't know how many more explosions my relationship can survive. I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose myself. But I feel like I'm standing on the edge of the same cliff he jumped off years ago. And here's the confession I'm most ashamed of. A small part of me wonders if it would be easier to just let go and accept it. To stop fighting, stop pretending, and just be him. Because fighting this battle every day is exhausting. And I'm not sure I'm strong enough to win. What do you think? Is it possible for someone like me to really change? Or am I doomed to repeat the same story, just with a different name? The morning after that dinner party disaster, the house felt haunted. Not by ghosts, but by silence. You know how silence can feel heavier than any argument? That's what it was. Thick, suffocating, crushing me. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just existed next to me, moving around like a stranger. Every clink of a mug, every creak of the floorboards was louder than words. And that scared me more than her anger ever could. Because anger means someone still cares. Silence means they're already halfway out the door. I tried to fix it the only way I knew how, half-hearted gestures. I cleaned the kitchen, bought flowers, cooked dinner. It all felt like painting over a cracked wall. She smiled politely, thanked me, but the distance between us was growing, and I could feel it like a rope slipping through my hands. That night, I sat on the balcony with a bottle I swore I wasn't going to touch. The city lights blurred as I stared at my reflection in the dark glass. And all I could think was, how the hell did I get here? The truth. I knew exactly how. I'd been lying to myself for years. Pretending I had control. Pretending I wasn't my father's son. But the cycle was already spinning long before I admitted it. You see, the scariest part of becoming like him isn't the drinking or the yelling. It's the way the darkness creeps in and convinces you that it's normal. That this is just life. That everyone has demons, and maybe yours just happen to look like this. My father used to say, every man needs a vice. I hated that sentence when I was a kid. Now I catch myself repeating it in my head, like it's carved into me. A few days later, the breaking point came. She found the bottles. The hidden stash in the closet I thought was so clever. I walked in to see her sitting on the floor, surrounded by empty glass like shards of truth. She held up one of the bottles and said quietly, "How many more?" I froze. My throat locked. I wanted to scream, to lie, to say, "That's all, I swear." But her eyes. They already knew the answer. For the first time, I saw not just fear or disappointment, but exhaustion. She was tired of fighting a battle I wasn't even trying to win. And then she asked the question I'd been dreading for months. "Do you even want to change?" That hit me harder than anything. Because what if the answer was no? What if deep down, I'd already surrendered? I stumbled through excuses, half-promises, desperate words like, "I'll try," and "I didn't mean to." She didn't yell. She didn't even respond. She just stood up, walked past me, and went into the bedroom. The door closed with a soft click, but it sounded like a gunshot in my chest. That night, I didn't drink. I couldn't. I just sat in the living room, shaking, replaying every memory of my father slurring his apologies, swearing tomorrow would be different, only for tomorrow to look exactly the same. And here I was, in the same script, saying the same lines. The next morning, I made a decision. I called in sick to work and went for a walk. No destination, just moving. And with every step, I asked myself, am I him? Or am I me? It sounds stupid, but I genuinely didn't know the answer. I ended up outside a bar at 11 a.m. My body screamed to go inside, just one drink to calm the storm. But my feet stayed glued to the sidewalk. I stood there for 20 minutes, shaking, sweating, staring at the door like it was the devil himself. And in a way, it was. Finally, I turned and walked away. It felt like a victory, but a hollow one. Because as proud as I wanted to feel, I knew deep down it was just one day. One tiny step in a marathon I wasn't sure I could finish. That night, when she came home, I told her. Not everything, just that I hadn't drunk all day. She looked at me, half-smiled, and said, "That's good." But her tone wasn't hopeful. It was cautious, like she'd heard it all before. And maybe she had. The real climax came the following weekend. We went to visit her parents. I was determined to be the perfect version of myself. Sober, polite, charming. For the most part, I managed. But after dinner, her dad offered me a beer. Just one. And without thinking, I took it. The cold can in my hand felt like home. I cracked it open. I didn't even drink it yet. But the look on her face when she saw me holding it, that was enough. It was like watching something die in her eyes. She didn't say a word the entire ride home. When we got back, she packed a bag. My chest caved in. I begged, I cried, I swore I'd change. And that's when she said something that burned itself into me forever. "You always say you're not your father. But right now, you're proving you are. Then she left. And here I am, alone, writing this in the same living room where my father used to sit in his own drunken silence, while my mother cried herself to sleep. The cycle is complete. The torch has been passed. Unless I find a way to break it. But how do you fight a ghost that lives inside you? How do you kill the parts of yourself that look too much like the man you hate? Nobody in my life knows the full story. Not my friends. Not my co-workers. Not even her anymore, because she's gone. So I'm confessing it here, to strangers. Maybe it's pathetic, but it's the only place I can be honest. And the truth is, I don't know if I can do this. So I'll ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you keep fighting to change, or would you accept that maybe some battles are unwinnable? After she left, the apartment didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. Every corner carried the evidence of my failures. The empty bottles I hadn't thrown away yet, the dent in the wall from my last outburst, the flowers I bought her wilting in their vase like they were mocking me. Even her perfume still lingered in the bedroom, clinging to the sheets like a ghost. And the silence, God, the silence. When she was there, silence was heavy. But now it was suffocating. It pressed down on me until I felt like I was drowning. The first few nights, I drank harder than ever. Not to celebrate, not to escape, just to fill the void. I'd stumble to the kitchen, crack open a bottle, and stare at the doorway like she might walk back in if I stayed awake long enough. But she didn't. And each morning, I woke up surrounded by more glass, more shame, more proof that I was sinking deeper. One morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. My eyes were bloodshot, my face bloated, stubble growing wild. I touched my reflection and whispered, "This is him. You've become him." And for a split second, I imagined smashing the mirror just to erase his face. My face, staring back. That was the moment I realized I had two options. Let the cycle consume me completely, or claw my way out before it buried me alive. So I tried something I never thought I'd do. I went to an AA meeting. Walking through that door felt like dragging chains behind me. The room smelled of coffee and cigarettes, filled with strangers who all carried the same haunted look I knew was etched into me. I sat in the back, arms crossed, pretending like I didn't belong there. But when people started talking, really talking, I felt something crack inside me. One man, older, gray beard, rough voice, shared about how he lost his wife after 20 years because he couldn't put down the bottle. His kids don't speak to him anymore. He said, "Every time I took a drink, I thought I was numbing the pain. But I was just rehearsing my own funeral." That line hit me like a freight train. Because that's exactly what I'd been doing. When it was my turn, I froze. My palms were sweaty, my throat tight. But the words tumbled out before I could stop them. I hate myself. I swore I'd never be like my father. And here I am. The room went silent for a moment. Then people nodded. Like they understood. Like they'd been there too. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. But let me be honest, it wasn't a miracle cure. I didn't walk out of that meeting reborn. I walked out shaking, craving a drink, angry at myself for even needing help. Recovery isn't some Hollywood moment where you pour the liquor down the drain and everything's fine. It's ugly. It's messy. It's failure after failure. Case in point. 2 days later, I relapsed. I'd gone 72 hours sober, the longest stretch I'd had in months. I was proud. I thought maybe I was finally stronger than him. But then I saw her on Instagram. She'd posted a picture with friends, smiling, looking free. No trace of the weight she carried when she was with me. And jealousy burned through me like acid. My hand reached for the bottle before my brain even processed what I was doing. The guilt after that relapse nearly broke me. I sat on the bathroom floor, drunk, crying, whispering her name like some desperate prayer. And the sickest thought crossed my mind. What if I just end it? If I can't stop being him, maybe the only way to break the cycle is to disappear altogether. But then I remembered something from that meeting. A woman had said, "Sobriety isn't about perfection. It's about fighting for one more day, every day. One more day." So I decided not to disappear. Not yet. Instead, I wrote her a letter. I poured everything out. My shame, my fears, my failures, my desperate wish to change. I didn't beg her to come back. I just wanted her to know the truth. That I wasn't blind anymore. That I saw the monster in me, and I was finally trying to fight it. I don't know if she'll ever read it. I slipped it into her mailbox and walked away before I lost my nerve. And now, here I am. Sober for 6 days. 6 days isn't a victory. 6 days is nothing in the grand scheme. But it's also everything. Because 6 days ago, I didn't think I'd live this long. The cravings are still there. The anger still lurks. I still wake up sweating, dreaming of my father yelling, dreaming of her leaving. But for now, I'm breathing. I'm writing this sober. And that has to count for something. Do I believe I can change? Honestly, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's impossible, that blood runs too deep, that we're destined to repeat the sins of those before us. But another part, tiny, fragile, stubborn, believes maybe, just maybe, I can be the first in my family to break the chain. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be better than him. And if I can manage that, maybe I'll prove to myself, and to her, that I'm not doomed after all. So here's my question for you. Do you think people like me deserve second chances? Or do some mistakes stain us forever? It's been 30 days. 30 days since I touched a drink. 30 days since I looked in the mirror and saw only him staring back. 30 days since I started trying, really trying, to claw my way out of the pit I've been sinking in my whole life. And I don't know how to explain it, but 30 days feels like both everything and nothing at the same time. To most people, a month is just a flicker. To me, it's a war. Every day, every hour, sometimes every minute is a battle against myself. Against the bottle. Against the voice that whispers, you can't fight this forever. But here's the thing. For the first time in years, I feel alive. Not happy, not healed, alive. And maybe that's enough for now. I wish I could tell you this story ends with me getting her back, that my girlfriend read my letter, rushed into my arms and said, I knew you could do it. That's the movie version. Reality is quieter. Messier. She texted me once. Just once. It said, I got your letter. I'm glad you're trying. Take care of yourself. That's it. No promises. No reunion. No happy ending. Just a few words that told me she saw me, but she wasn't ready, or maybe willing, to come back. And as much as it hurt, I couldn't blame her. She gave me years of patience, and I wasted it. Sometimes love isn't enough to fix a broken person. Sometimes you have to fix yourself first. So that's what I've been doing. The meetings help. Not in some miraculous life-changing way, but in a steady, grounding way. Hearing people share their stories reminds me I'm not fighting this alone. One guy said, sobriety isn't about getting your old life back, it's about building a new one. That stuck with me. Because maybe I don't want my old life back. Maybe I want something different, something stronger, something mine. I've been journaling every night. Writing down every craving, every outburst I almost had, every small victory. And when I read back through the pages, I see something I didn't expect. Progress. Not perfection, but progress. I still lose my temper. I still feel that darkness rise up sometimes, that urge to lash out, to break something, to hurt before I get hurt. But now, I recognize it. I name it. I breathe through it. And sometimes, just sometimes, I win. The climax of this confession happened last week. I was walking home when I saw a man yelling at his little boy on the street. The kid looked about the same age I was when my father used to scream at me. His small hands clenched, his eyes filled with tears he was trying so hard to hold back. Something inside me cracked wide open. For a second, I wasn't watching a stranger. I was watching myself, 20 years ago, standing there, wishing someone, anyone, would step in. So I did. I walked over, calm but firm, and said, "Hey, maybe take it easy. He's just a kid." The man snapped at me, told me to mind my business. Normally, that kind of confrontation would have lit me up. I would have shouted back, escalated, turned it into another war. But this time, I didn't. I just looked at the boy and said, "You're gonna be okay, kid." Then I walked away. I don't know if it helped. I don't know if the father thought twice after that, or if the kid even remembers me. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't repeating the cycle. I was breaking it. Even if just for one moment. And that moment mattered. I still think about her every day. I still hope maybe one day, when I'm stronger, I can show her the version of me she always believed I could be. But if that day never comes, I'll understand. Because this fight isn't about her anymore. It's about me. It's about not becoming the man I swore I'd never be. It's about proving to myself that blood isn't destiny. Some days I still wake up hating myself. Some days I dream of my father, his voice taunting me, telling me I'll never escape him. But then I get up, I breathe, I go to my meetings, I write in my journal, and I make it through another day. And maybe that's what breaking the cycle looks like. Not some dramatic moment of triumph, but a slow, painful, stubborn crawl toward something better. I don't know if I'll make it to 60 days. Or 90. Or a year. But I know I made it to 30. And right now, that feels like a miracle. So here's my final confession. I'm not my father. I'm me. And for the first time in my life, I'm starting to believe that's enough. What about you? Do you think people can really change? Or do we just spend our whole lives fighting the ghosts of who we were raised to be?